All of us here are manga artists from the same generation, and individuals, of course, experienced intense situations. I always get asked how to deal with managing editors well. You know, there are some editors hard to get along with, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes they tell us something we were not even thinking about. As artists, many of us are concerning how to deal with these types of editors.
I have no good reference stories.
We can't pick which editors we would like to work with.
Yeah, just like we can't pick our own parents. What I think is editors' mission are to make their manga artists' works popular, so their experience with other mangas in the past can be a very reliable source to judge if they're trustworthy or not. There should be convincing proof of what they say. Otherwise, we will not get along with each other. If this editor is not trustworthy, I go look for other companies to work with. Because I'm afraid to tell the same editing division to change my editor in charge, as it's rude.
Especially when we were younger, right?
I said whatever I wanted to say. I talked with Mr. Shimamoto and many other artists about this and realized I was the rare one.
So you said everything you wanted?
You said you can't pick your editor, right? Instead of picking who, I told those editors to work along with me. I was 15 when I started working with the Kodansha. As I got older, from 15 to 16 to 17, I started wondering why these editors were the ones teaching me how to draw my manga. We didn't go to college to learn how to draw manga. I was like, why do I need to be taught how to create them when you had no experience of drawing funny mangas before? So I quit having meetings with them.
He is like the singer Yutaka Ozeki in the manga field.
You are so fearless.
So I told them to read my manga and give me feedback first. Then discuss the matters in revision meetings. If they don't accept my work, just let me know what they need me to work on. That way, every outcome was on me anyway, whether them cancelling to publish my manga or my mangas getting popular.
Oh, okay. With that style, I guess you did it at your own risk. What about you, Mr. Kitagawa?
The biggest difference between Shueisha and Kodansha is that Shueisha, which I worked with, is not too into training the manga artists. They rely on artists' talents. So if you are talented, they will give you full support, but if you are not, they will just cut you off. On the other hand, Kodansha tends to look out for you much closer.
Yeah, I had that support from them. I've seen 4 staffs in charge of one artist's work, instead of having just one editor. Some artists had several of them and discussed all together. I didn't have that because that was not what I like to do personally. I did one-on-one with an editor Naochi, and we worked on Hajime Noppo together. He used to share the matters he was told for me to revise. And I was like, okay, I will do it. I had a friend who is also an artist. He had 4 editors discussing his manga. One day, I asked him, what's gonna happen in next week's episode? And he said, they told me I don't need to know. What kind of a meeting is that they exclude the artist himself?
That sounds insane. Anyway, Shueisha really didn't care if your ability as an artist is not enough. And that was it for them. They don't train you nor take any responsibility for you.
Oh, they care only results.
Kodansha though, they are a little more caring, I think.
Not really. They can't take any responsibility for the artists.
For real? Okay, they can't, but they come and apologize to you if your manga didn't get sold a lot. They say like, my effort was not enough to make you a popular artist. Shueisha never apologizes because many new artists come to them. So they are to pick who they want to work with.
So it's either choosing or training.
It's like the saying, spare the rod and spoil the child. A parent of lion pushes off their children and sees if they are strong enough to come back up. So those can't come up or left behind.
But those lion parents do such things out of their love for their children. I doubt if Shueisha workers have the same type of love for the artists.
This story is getting too exciting.
Do you think they are gonna be okay for this part of the video to be put out in public?
I think they are not okay. But listening to you guys' opinions is so entertaining.
When I was working on one of my mangas, Bustard, I didn't have any meetings.
What? Really?
We didn't have enough time for that. After overnight working, my assistants asked me, well, what do we do with this week's episode? I just told them to start drawing from doors. I take a look at the gallery proof and figure out how the story continues.
So you were creating stories as drawing.
There were no following stories on a page from what we were drawing.
I have seen at Mr. Hagiwara's studio that you guys draw names on the side of your drawings.
We put dialogue in between papers and decide on layouts for them.
Wow.
My managing editor was mad at me and said, "Why are you doing such a thing?" My editor in charge, Takahashi, told him that we take time to draw illustrations, so putting out names in a regular way isn't sufficient for us.
So constantly working without taking a break was your lifestyle back then?
Yeah, something like that.
7 days are not long enough to go on with weekly serialization.
Not enough at all. I had some assistants at my studio who were good at drawing on my rough sketches. In total, I think there were 3 or 4 of them. They helped me a lot, thankfully.
I can't let assistants do that with my manga. Not even the shining parts of the hair.
It's understandable.
I want to do all the work myself.
Drawing highlights with a calligraphy pen is exciting.
Yeah, and the cross-hatching technique as well.
So you want to do everything on your own?
Because we are the best at doing this work. Apologies to those assistants, but when they couldn't draw as I requested, I didn't tell them right then, just took those drawings back home and fixed them myself.
I'd cry.
So you were not straightforward with them.
But my assistants did a great job though, and they were good people. We were a good team.
How many assistants have you hired in total, Mr. Morikawa?
I've worked in this field for 35 to 36 years now, and I hired 3 assistants in total. One of them was working for me from the beginning of my career. There were a few other people came for help as well. Soda and Mishka Kentaro Miura were ones of these assistants. Regular assistants, I had 3.
That's amazing. How about you, Mr. Kitagawa?
I had over 10 assistants or so in total. Not a lot, and most of them stayed working for a long time.
Sounds nice. I hired 30 to 40 assistants in total.
Many people wanted to work for you.
I taught them a lot, and weird drawings came out as results. Those who were good at picking up my teachings learned quickly and started working on their own. I was grateful that they had come to help me. Of course, there were some who took quite a long time to learn, however. When I checked their portfolios and envelopes, most of them were very good applicants.
Your assistants were locked up in your studio for 3 months straight, right?
Well, there's not much to do in the beginning of our work, so they went home for the first half of every week. The work got tougher around the middle part of our work.
They couldn't go home?
I used to read your manga back then as we are in the same generation, and thought, how could you manage the quality of drawings in weekly serialization? I still think about that. You have to be young to complete this kind of work.
Yeah,